One of the most important elements in any relationship is good and fruitful communication. This is no less true in our relationship with God. One of the most interesting topics of conversation, and probably something we all struggle with from time to time, is the life of prayer. Tonight we're going to be discussing prayer, the various modes and ways Catholics have prayed through the centuries, as well as addressing some of the challenges and difficulties we face, from getting started in prayer to dealing with questions of dryness, when it's difficult to pray, how do we develop good habits of prayer, and asking practical questions about, well, what difference do my prayers really make? I'd like to begin by asking Tami and Father Brian, what do you think of in terms of, if you were to describe prayer to someone, what kind of definition or metaphor or paradigm would you use to discuss prayer?
I would say for me, prayer comes down to one word. It's about relationship, a relationship with God. I think it was Henry Nouwen, our contemporary from the 20th century, a spiritual writer, that said, a spiritual life without prayer is like the gospel without Jesus Christ, meaning you can't have one. So to develop our relationship with God, we really need to find a mode of prayer or a mode of communication to connect with God. So it's really about developing this loving relationship with a God who invites us into a deep relationship with Him.
It's beautiful. Father Brian, what kind of images do you like to use, or how do you think of prayer?
Well, one of the ways I think of prayer is that it's something that we do just to survive. You know, it's something that we need to do. We believe that we're all creatures of God, that God is the reason that there is anything, that there is a world, any of us. And although we believe that, we're usually not that aware of God's presence because we're so busy with other things. And I think prayer is something that we need to do just to kind of orient our lives again to the very basis of them, which is God Himself. You know, I mean, most of the time we get a good night's sleep, or we try to. We eat 3 meals a day. We try to get some exercise. And these are things that we do not just because they're fun to do, but because they keep us alive and they keep us living an ordered life, you know. And I think prayer is part of that same set of needs, that unless we touch into God's presence and really let God take over our consciousness for some time every day, we drift away and become kind of disoriented and decentered. And so I think we pray for the same reason that we eat and sleep, because we need to do this to survive. We're not doing God a favor. We're sort of doing this simply to keep ourselves going.
I was thinking of the Russian Orthodox theologian Alexander Schmemann, who said that the most fundamental definition of what it means to be human is to be a homo adorans, someone who prays, that at our deepest level, prayer and worship are absolutely essential to our well-being. Very much what you're saying, Father Brian, that in fact, we are creatures who are made to worship, and if we're not worshiping the true God, we're by default worshiping someone else, our career, our ego, or something in the place of God. And of course, none of that can satisfy us in the way that the worship of God can.